Law Talk with Nick Maruchak, thanks to MKI Legal, your trusted employment and family lawyers.
G'day, Nick. How are you?
G'day, Bowie. I'm great, thank you.
You studied in Freo. You studied at Notre Dame, didn't you?
I did. I spent 5 years there.
Yeah.
I went to the Orient a lot, which is the local pub there.
Yeah.
I remember there was $5 jugs back in the day, and we took advantage of that, but I don't know how much they are now.
Did you like studying and working down there? It's a great place. I reckon it's really good, Fremantle.
Oh, yeah, it was lovely. Really historical buildings were great, and next to the beach there. So, yeah, and it was the university is not as big as other universities, so you really get to interact and stay close with a lot of people.
Yeah, I know a few lecturers who work down there, and they're a good crew. Dave says, I love going to Freo straight through the port to go fishing. I have no problem about the bridge being closed down, says Dave. And I've got a list of other places people want to go to. We've just been talking to the Tyre Power Best of the West winner, and I've just given her a whole pile of pens that to be recycled for the kids. And Mick Collis, who's on after you, says, can I have one of those pens for today? No, you can't, Mick. Bring your own pen, mate, seriously. What would you like to talk about today? Yes, last week, fascinating discussion you and I had about prenups, or the full proper name, technical name, legal name, binding financial agreements.
That's right, yep.
And if people aren't aware, Nick and his company, MKI Legal, have got, if not one of the cheapest prenup setups. If you want a prenup, if you're going to a second time around, first time around, maybe your kids, you can go and see Nick about getting a prenuptial done, a binding financial agreement. And if anyone has any questions today, 133 882. If you'd like to call in, you can. We'll talk to Rick in just a moment. Rick wants to thank you for some help you gave him, so he's going to talk to you in just a second. Talk to me about this daycare centre, this little fella wandering away from a daycare centre, Nick.
Yeah, so a daycare in Alkimos a few weeks ago got prosecuted because there was a 3-year-old boy there with level 3 autism. He had a history of climbing and attempting to scale the fence, and so the daycare, ordered this perspex glass, but it wasn't yet installed. And on the day of the incidents, the staff were juggling a few things, weren't supervising, and he escaped. And a neighbour saw this 3-year-old walking alone on a road, and she grabbed him just before he reached this busy road. And so very lucky, he was gone for 6 minutes. So this Good Samaritan brought him back, but this daycare was fined $18,000 recently for having inadequate supervision. And just a reminder that these daycares have really strict rules. They have minimum carer to child ratios, and in addition to that, they have to take extra care, especially if a child has climbed a fence before. So if a child has knowingly climbed something or has autism, then the service must take extra preventative steps. And here they had the correct carer ratios, but they just failed to discharge their duty because the educator has to see and hear the children all the time, knows where they all are. And so there was a fine.
So do you think the fine was slightly less, Nick, because they were in the process of installing an extra barrier? Because the perspex was at a certain height and they were putting some extra perspex in, weren't they?
Yeah, so they did take the right steps there but on the day of the incident, they got too busy and the child snuck out. So, yeah, this fine, because there was another fine back in November for a child who did scale a fence and did wander in a nearby road for about 5 minutes. And this daycare in November 24 was fined $50,000.
Yeah, okay.
So, and there's a number of these going around the last couple of years where children are just being unsupervised. There's stories where, a bunch of 3 toddlers locked themselves in a storage shed. They were fined. This childcare was fined $20,000. So I have about 6 other cases where we did some research and found it. So it's something that the Department of Communities is really focusing on, and I imagine it's probably hard to get good staff in maybe it's hard to get good people there. And
it is rule number 1, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You hear of kids being left on buses, Nick, and I know it's a really tough job looking after kids, although I couldn't do it. But you've got to count. When you get off the bus, you've got to count all the kids who've got on and off. And if you're in a daycare centre, you've got to keep an eye on them, don't you? That's rule number 1, I would have thought.
Yeah. Another case is a child was left unsupervised on a trip.
Yep.
They failed to do a proper head count during a transition period.
Yeah.
That was a $22,000 fine for this one. So yeah, these are the risks.
Yeah, for sure.
And you got your kids there, and my child's in daycare, and you're putting your loved one in someone else's hands, and
yeah, I take mine to preschool once a week or twice a week, and she is with the supervision, but it's in the school ground, so it's very contained. You know, there's only one door in, one door out, so that's easy. But when you've got a daycare centre that's on a suburban street, it's a different thing altogether, isn't it? Now, Rick's phoned in. G'day, Rick. How are you?
Very good, thank you, sir. I just want to thank Mr. Maruchek for helping me out 2 weeks ago in regards to a problem I had with my sister-in-law. He rang me back as promised, and he also gave me some very good information. It took about an hour to talk to me, and may have taken 2 hours to give me the information. I just want to say a very big thank you to him. That's all I am ringing for.
That's very nice, Rick.
Yeah, thank you, Rick, for calling. And your situation was, if I can just say, just a tip to the listeners, because back in the 80s, you purchased a house for your mother-in-law, and you purchased it all, but it was left in the name of your mother-in-law. And Rick's going through a bit of a tough time because what happened is the mother-in-law passed away, and then a sister-in-law took some steps to transfer the house in her name, and there was a little bit of conduct that probably wasn't above board. And Rick has a legal claim for constructive trust, because when you purchase a property for someone else and you pay for the entire purchase price, there's an argument in law that they will hold that property on trust for you. But always really, it's just a lesson when because this property went up in value a significant amount now, and it's worth quite a lot. And Rick's got some challenges and some has to go through a legal process. But always try and document this and just be very careful when putting property in other people's names. So
Word to the wise.
Yeah, so I really kind of spent some time with you, Rick, just because I really feel for you on that one.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Well done, Nick. Very, very good work by you. 18 minutes to 11 o'clock. If you'd like to speak to Nick Maruchek today, please give us a call, 133 882. Any other legal issues on your mind, Nick, that you spotted for us in the past week?
Well, so there was just another one where someone, an Australian academic, Murray Hunter, this was in the news recently, he's facing criminal defamation trial in Thailand after criticising the Malaysian government. So he was arrested in the Bangkok airport, and he's as he tried to fly to Hong Kong, and he's charged under Thailand's criminal defamation. So here we have he was insulting another government, and the Thailand government's prosecuting him. So so this is just a time to kind of reflect potentially on different laws that apply in different countries in relation to, so just a few countries where, number one, where you can get in trouble for criticising the monarch. So in Thailand, I think a lot of us know about that, but also Saudi Arabia, Jordan and Morocco have laws insulting the king or the royal family. Another area of category is where you're insulting the state or the head of state. So Turkey, you can't insult the president. Germany has also laws for disparaging the federal president. Poland, Vietnam as well, makes it illegal to spread information aimed at opposing the state. China potentially has some laws in relation to insulting heroes and martyrs and spreading rumours. So other countries are Greece, Italy, Malaysia, Zimbabwe, and then you have another category where countries that have criminal defamation still widely used. So Singapore is one where criminal defamation can be used, especially if you're insulting government leaders. A lot of African countries.
The opposite here in Australia.
Yeah.
Just looking at our text line. It comes in every day, and it's a national pastime to criticise our leaders. We have a different system around freedom of speech, Nick, and we see a lot of it on this program and on this station.
We do not have a law where it's an offence to insult the state or government officials, thank goodness. But interestingly, WA does have on its books still criminal defamation. So it actually can, if you publish something that's defamatory against someone and you know it's false, you can be guilty of a crime and you can be in prison for up to 3 years, but reality is it's rarely prosecuted. I remember once early in my career, someone was accused to be a child molester and we tried to get the police to prosecute and they didn't. It's a rare one, but that one's on our books as well. A few other states have it. such as Northern Territory, Queensland. A few of them have it, but yeah, it's that's as far as it goes. Criminal defamation.
Yeah. 133 882. If you'd like to speak to Nick Maruchak today, we'd love to hear from you. It's 11:15. Phone lines are open. Give us a shout. 133 882 is the phone number. Darren's asked the question, Nick. The fines of the childcare providers and the transport company around the childcare providers, where does that fine go to? Do you know?
So Department of Communities are the ones that prosecute that. So these fines will go to the state coffers and
Consolidated revenue.
Yep, that's where most fines go. I know in employment law context, sometimes if an individual brings a claim or the union brings a claim and say there's a fine for breach of the Fair Work Act, sometimes it can go to the individual, but in this case, we'll go to the state and it's act as a deterrent to make sure that these childcare operators do the right thing. The other thing I've noticed in the last few years is, maybe some people agree with me, that childcare operators are a bit of a cash cow. I know they're good businesses because the government has a scheme where they will set up some of the costs. So you see a lot of them going, just being set up.
Huge growth industry.
Yeah, but that also led up, I know a few lawyers in this space that few people taking advantage of it and just being a bit too loose with the rules. So there's a few bad operators out there.
Yeah, for sure. Nail salons, 24-hour gyms, daycare centres. Yep, good businesses.
Yep.
And laundromats. Back in a sec. Thanks for listening in today. Our man Nick Maruchak from MKI Legal is here. If you'd like to call in, we've got a bit of time. We'd love to hear from you. Good morning, Lynn. How are you?
Good morning, Simon and Nick. A query. I'm a co-executor of an estate and I'm also a beneficiary. If there's a contest of the will, do I need two separate legal representatives, one as a beneficiary and one as an executor?
Are you contesting the will yourself? I'd imagine you're... No. Okay, so generally...
No, I'm not.
Yep, so you wouldn't... So the lawyer, as long as there's no conflict of interest, right? So your lawyer would be able to advise you. I believe you can use the same lawyer because there wouldn't be a conflict. Your main duty here as co-executor is to defend the challenge by the beneficiary and to act in the best interest of the estate. It could be a problem if the beneficiary challenging the will is someone very close to you, say your daughter or something like that. That could be grounds potentially for you to be removed. But if you're just a beneficiary and an executor, that by itself would not be a conflict of interest. Many people are in that position. And if it is, the lawyer would tell you, but yeah, you'll need to go defend this claim. And I'd imagine, have you got legal representation on it?
We have had some legal advice as executors and yes, we're expected to go to a without prejudice meeting with the person who's contesting. So but we didn't think that we needed to have a lawyer with us for that because we thought that was just a finding of the facts. What does the person want? So they could, what is the basis for their contest?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think
we thought it was an informal meeting.
Is this a court? Because they've launched court proceedings in the Supreme Court, have they?
No.
Okay.
No,
they're intending to.
This is a family will dispute, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because it's good to get legal advice here. It's best if you can try and avoid these proceedings because going to the Supreme Court can take a lot of time and very costly, and sometimes the estate is liable for it. So get some good legal advice, and you can actually resolve the claim by signing something called a deed of family arrangement, which is everyone over 18, the beneficiaries, the executors will sign, and you can actually change the will to give a little bit potentially to these beneficiaries. But you want to find out if they have a good claim because often people challenge and sometimes their claims are not very strong. They need to establish certain things. So yeah, I would start with just getting some legal advice and try and look towards a settlement and weigh up the cost of defending the whole thing. How much would that cost you if it goes all the way versus how strong the claim is, maybe giving them a little bit. So it's a challenging position, but you have to act in the best interest of the estate. So I would get legal advice just because if you get something wrong, someone can try and attack you for breaching your duties.
Yeah. All right. Thanks very much, Nick.
Thanks, Lynn. Lynn from Nora. You raised the issue about an Australian journalist being in trouble in Malaysia. He's got to have his days in court after allegedly defaming the Malaysian government, and a lot of countries around the world have rules and laws like that. And Melanie in Bullsbrook said, Simon, half of Australia would be in jail if that was the laws here. Half of the 6PR listeners would be Melanie, I reckon. Thank you for your call today. G'day, Kim.
Yeah, g'day, Simon. How you going, Nick?
G'day, mate.
Yeah, good. Quick question. I've got two adult daughters who we've got guardianship and power of attorney on. When we had the SAT hearing, the member that actually heard the hearing said to us, immediately apply for exemptions on reporting, which we did. We've been back to our lawyer a couple of times and they said there's nothing they can do about it. And all we've heard back from the SAT is that it's with a senior person and they'll get back to you at some point. Now, this has been going for 8 odd months now and we just want to know what our best move is now.
So I'd imagine that there is a state administrative tribunal claim on someone. You're in a dispute on, is someone else challenging you on who to get guardianship over your daughter?
No, my daughter, my wife and myself have got guardianship over both of them. Yeah. So, yeah. There's no challenge to it. It's just we wanted to get exemption on financial reporting.
Yep.
Because that's what the member at the hearing advised us to do, which we did. And we've approached the SAT about 3 times now, and we've heard nothing other than the fact that they just said, a senior member will come back to you at some point.
Yep. So it sounds like it's just taking too long for them to process your application for exemption. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I can give you a call off air, Kim. I'm happy to just look into it further because it's always a difficult situation because sometimes the courts and the tribunals take their time and, in some cases go for years. And this is a bit of a problem in our judiciary, especially in my practice at the federal court. Some judges cases take years, and so the chief judges are really taking time. So I need to look into what you can do because the options might be limited. You might just have to wait, but I'm happy to kind of give you a call, find out a bit more about this, and just give you a few pointers if there's anything you can do other than just wait because backlog.
Kim, I'll put you back to Soph and to Kira. Thanks for calling in, mate. Coming up in the news at 11 o'clock with Philip Amar, federal environment laws, as you've heard this morning, will pass Parliament after a deal was struck with Albo and his mates in the Greens. And the Perth pitch for the Ashes Test gets the highest possible rating from the ICC, the International Cricket Council. All the latest in weather, sport and finance with Philippa as well. Ken's phoned in from Currumbine. G'day, Ken.
G'day, fellas. How's things?
Good, mate.
Look, I just have a question regarding prenups. The scenario is my daughter is in a relationship. They have become engaged. Her engaged partner, has a property, but my daughter now is building a property in her name. Mm-hmm. Now, we all like to think that love will go on forever, but unfortunately things go south sometimes.
Yep.
Now, if she doesn't get a prenup, the house that my daughter's partner has, is that a part of the...
yes.
If they separate, is there any claim on that?
Yes. So if they've been together for, say, if you're in a de facto more than 2 years or you're married, everything goes into this pool. So your daughter's separate assets, partner's separate assets, the combined assets, everything goes in and there's a percentage division. It's based on a bunch of factors, how long they were together for, how much each person contributed financially or to the house or to the kids, people's health and sickness, all that's taken into account and the court will divide a percentage. So yes, the answer is yes. So your daughter could get a simple prenup, say I keep my separate assets, they keep their separate assets, everything in the middle that's jointly owned can be just negotiated at the time or divided by the court. So there's flexibility. It really depends on, you really want to compare what's favourable compared to what you would get under law. So
is that okay, Ken?
What's a basic prenup worth, mate?
Oh, we do it the cheapest in Australia. For 6PR listeners, we can do a deal, 1,000 plus GST. Okay. It's the basic one. So if you like, you can leave details, I'll give you a call. But yeah, it's pretty, sometimes money well spent to save. I'm not sure.
Good clarity.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
No worries. Thank you, fellas.
Thanks, Ken. I'll put you back to Kira and to Soph. Jeff, we won't have time to get to you, mate. Please give us a call around the same time next week. And look, Nick is very popular, so if you are going to ring Nick Maruchak, ring him earlier in this segment rather than later. Thank you, mate.
Thank you, Bowie.
Have a good week.
You too.
See you down in Freo.
See you then.
See you. Cheers, mate. Back in a sec. 2.5 minutes to 11. Mick Collis not far away.